Now, as you probably have already figured out, most of what we're doing with the Tron, we're going to hopefully be able to apply to next year's project, the B25. And there's a lot of significant things that I've learned along the way. And I figured I'd take a few minutes right now. We're at a good break. We're coming up on Brodex to go over just what I think the progress on this project really is. Now, we've worked long and hard on this. This has not been maybe as easy as you think it is. Sergio Zegras has been a real big help. And the ultimate development that we're working toward is to be able to have it on our B25. And I'll explain that maybe with a little storyboard. We're running, and we already have plenty of video of the Typhoon. We've actually worked on it back and forth with different props and different setups. We're working on developing that. We're going to continue to try to develop that. But the even bigger thing that we're working on is the preliminary way that we want to set up the B25. What I always do whenever I'm trying to make a decision on something, I try to do a basic accounting T-form and figure out what are the pluses, what are the minuses. Well, we know. Before we even set it up, we know a Tron is going to add 2 ounces basically to the weight of the plane. Now, what this means is, though, is the bigger the plane gets, in the case of, say, Paul Walker's B-17, 2 ounces is nothing. Especially if it turns out that you're going to need nose weight. And because the B-25 has a short nose and the motors are almost up on a wing, I'm assuming I'm going to need nose weight. And rather than put 2 ounces of lead in the plane, 2 ounces of something. So this becomes less of a factor on the B-25. However, the good news is, and we haven't done this yet, the problem is we're coming up on Brodex and we're running out of time. I don't have time right now because we're busy in the shop. We're doing house things like the yard, all the maintenance on the yard and mulching and flowers. So what I need is a dedicated day. What I'd like to do is convert the plane to using the battery for tip weight. Well, that's going to, no matter what plane it is, even a B-25, that gets rid of 1 ounce. So now we're down, we've cut this basically either in half or negated it by the fact that it's either going to be nose weight, or possibly if you had a plane, and it could be that you had a plane that used 2 ounces of tip weight, you might be able to put the whole thing in the outer tip and run those flexible push rods. Anyway, this is just, I try to make this balance. The other thing that it does is the charging. Now, I bought 4 batteries, and I numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4. So while I'm using number 1, number 4 is on charge. While I'm using number 2, number 1 is on. I'm always using the next sequential number of battery, so that basically there's always 3 batteries charged, and I've never run a battery dry. I've gone as many as 10 flights in one day, and I haven't let the battery go dead, so I don't know. It may go 20 flights. And it depends on how often you cycle a throttle. So this becomes the basic decision that you have to make if you're going to do it, whether you're a scale modeler or whatever. These are the negatives of adding a Tron. The cost, the cost we know is about roughly $100 for everything, including the batteries. Maybe a little less, maybe $10 more, depending on if you get pre-made battery packs. But here's the point. You can see what we've already accomplished is we already have the negatives on here. We've got one of them almost canceled out. Well, we know for sure we can cancel half of that negative out. The charging I don't count because I have to fuel the plane anyway, and the cost, this is something that I never thought of until if you watch the last video. Happening is, and it's a significant thing, significant in a lot of ways, is without a throttle control, I have to fill a tank actually, and sometimes it gets close. With the throttle control, because in level flight and in inverted, I can close the throttle, I'm saving 2 ounces of fuel. Now it could work, and in the best of all worlds, if we really dope this out on the B-25, we might be able to save an ounce or 2 on each one. Now, number 1, that might cancel out eventually. I don't know how many ounces of fuel you would have to buy before you would cancel us out. So you can see what we're doing, and it's a complex thing. The money not only the money of buying the fuel, we have to carry the fuel around with us, and at the end of the flight, we have to, in some cases, take the fuel out. But what I've found is at this point in the development is some of the pluses start to cancel out the minuses. So that ultimately, and in the case of the B-25, or, and I'm just making an example, in Paul Walker's B-17, I know he has a very complex pressure system with thousands of feet of tubing and stuff, but the thing is, you might be able to, and I don't know that you can. See, this is the part where development goes on. Development isn't instantaneous, easy, or cheap. It goes on. But what we've been able to do in this first 6 months of development is we've been able to take all of the things that might at one point in time have been a negative factor and cancel them out. This is a big one because we're going to be making our own carbon fiber fuel tanks probably before the Nats. I'm hoping I'll have a sample before the Nats. Jimmy's been working on the tooling. It's almost completed. But to have a smaller tank, again, we don't need to run that throttle wide open and keep dropping raw fuel in for all those level laps. We really have a choice here. We probably can make the physical weight of the plane an ounce or two lighter, and again, recanceling it. Don't forget, the weight of the tank plus the weight of the fuel, everything here is getting better. We're starting to make, it's not like we're playing for a tie, we're playing to win the game. So the Z-Tron, actually, when this is developed, and I'm guessing 2 to 3 years down the road, we will have this fine-tuned in a way that right now we're still experimenting with. But being able to use, and if this is a carbon fuel tank, you're going to knock another ounce out of the plane, even a plane that's already built. Very significant thing. You may not think this is really important, but to me, I've found another little plus. In the past, using 7 and 10 and 12% or 15% like some people do nitro to up the power, in the case of having throttle control, you can just physically open the throttle more when you want more power. You don't have to carry that. In other words, you don't need 15% nitro to fly level laps, takeoff, round loops. Yeah, but you sure need it in the overhead 8. How many setups have you seen where the whole flight is fine, you go for the overhead 8 and it's saggy or soggy? Go look at those Nats Top 20 videos where the guys were falling out of the sky. They're on their knees, they're roller skating. So what low nitro fuel does, it allows you to probably use an ounce less fuel, which knocks another ounce out of this. See, every step of the way now we're not. In the beginning, we were fighting just to see if we could carry the 2 ounces. What's going to happen with the B-25 is when it's totally developed, and I'm hoping that's going to be a year from now, and it's totally dead reliable and dead idiot-proof, plug it in and put it in the plane, and right now we're still trying to figure out how to do that the most efficient way. There's going to be pluses we haven't even thought of yet. And another one is props. You have a wider range of props. Now what I found in flying with the 3-blade and the 4-blade, the 2-blade, the APCs, it isn't critical to props. There's a simple reason. If it's going too fast, I can just slow it down. If it's going too slow, I can speed it up. So what happens is I can just pick, let's say, a mean average prop that works good in most of the conditions. I'm not locked into having one with 3.8 pitch and 2.2 and 1 point this and 6 point that, and then you touch one little thing, the fuel consumption changes, the glow plug changes, the pipeline changes, the muffler changes. What happens is, being able to control the throttle adds a dimension here that you don't realize, is everything on this side of it gets user-friendly. Everything gets just as friendly as possibly can be. You don't have critical props. You don't have critical fuel consumption. Because what's going to happen as soon as you're done with the pattern, fly you 2 laps, slow the plane down, and shut it off. It's hard to explain that. I've been flying this. I've been flying tradition and this plane. I basically haven't flown a plane without throttle control in a long time. And what's happened is I'm starting to get to where I kind of rely on it for certain things. Like I don't set needle valves anymore. I get a mean average setting for the day, and I can pick even from the day before. Because if I want a little more power, I can open the throttle. When you're driving your car down a highway and you want to go faster, you don't reach out and turn the needle valve. You step on the throttle. When you're coming down a hill, you take your foot off the gas. So a lot of this, it's not like this is developed yet, because I still haven't figured out the mechanics of flying with two hands. That's the limiting factor right now. But certainly, we're getting closer, and just what's happening here is now starting to happen to the other side of this. We're starting to be able to maximize some of the benefits of this. Now, I had asked Bill Netzband, who's probably one of the world's most knowledgeable people, what was going to happen before I ever built a Typhoon with an 8-inch nose. Because I had anticipated running a much bigger prop than what I would normally use with a 10-inch. A 10-inch nose being probably the average of most modern stun ships, especially most modern 2-cycle ones. So what happens is, and I didn't realize this might be a gain at the time. I thought all I was looking for was that same thing of playing for a tie. I don't want to lose anything here. But it turns out there's a gain. And what happens is a 12-inch prop on a 10-inch nose gives roughly the resistance to turn, and I'm going to use that word rather than using GP or some other thing. It gives roughly the same resistance to turn that I've found now, and it might even be that I've come out ahead, because this Typhoon has one characteristic that I really have come to. It has ultra power steering. It has power steering you can just touch and it turns, and it's not tail heavy. So I'm assuming it's either this factor coming into it or some other factor that, again, sometimes you think you see all the factors but you don't. But what happens here is, I think this wound up being a gain, that any of our 14-inch props on an 8-inch nose, as opposed to the 10-inch, 12-inch scenario. What happens, first off, I think for sure, there's no question, you get better drive, especially in a wind. It seems like no matter what, nothing beats having a bigger prop diameter. And I thought at one time, I was going to kill a corner. I said, oh, 14-inch prop? Well, what would happen? A 14-inch prop on a 10-inch nose might be a loss of corner, but a 14-inch prop on an 8-inch nose is, if it isn't an improvement, it's a tie. And I don't know that, but it's certainly something. These are really high-tech things that I'm hoping Bill Netzband, some other people that have really been knowledgeable and helpful along the way. Because here's the reason too, the B-25 will have even shorter noses. The motors are right up on the wing. And what I'm hoping to have is that there'll be that very little resistance to turn. It'll really have that turn and lock that I really like. See just how close the motors mount to the wing. Now, what I'm assuming I'm going to wind up doing when Dave Downey finishes the plans is at this nose moment, I'm going to make a compartment up here to put the Z-Trons, the batteries, all of that stuff. Or I can put, if I feel this is going to take 2 ounces of tip weight, I can put some over all of the material in the outboard tip. But see how short the noses are? So it means the tanks are going to be back, buried half into the wing, or something like that. And any weight I'm going to need to balance the plane up here. And I also would be thinking I'll make the all-out attempt at making the world's lightest tail. That's probably going to be part of this. But look how scale even the flaps and ailerons are on this. So there's a lot of, this project really has my blood boiling. One of the things that I hope will make this project possible, 2 things. Number 1, flying with throttle control. With those big tricycle gear, 3-inch wheels, this should be a taxi and takeoff and landing fool. It should just be great. Number 2, there's so many attractive paint jobs possible, and I have no clue yet which one I would be interested in or really want to model, but that's the fun of modeling. And having the ability to make the whole fuselage one-piece carbon fiber is going to hopefully make this plane lighter than if it were all balsa wood and had no throttle control. We're going to shoot for hopefully having this relatively light. And even if you make yourself crazy with wanting to put some fancy nose art or do the gunship version, no matter what, you have a lot of choices. The other thing that makes this possible is having 4-cycle engines. Because if you had 2 Fox 35s or even some Schmirly motors, modern motors, even no matter what you do, it's going to sound unlike a real airplane. And I think 2 of those Sato 30s just cruising along with throttle control, and maybe with some kind of scale little muffler that comes out. See, with some of the cals, there's two different cal versions. Some of them come out, you can almost get the muffler to come out right at the scale location. So we are really stoked, and I hope, well, for the people that subscribe to all the videos and enjoy all the technology and enjoy everything, hey, I hope you're going to share this adventure with us. This adventure is starting early, but you know what? It's probably going to be the greatest adventure of all time. And if you know where you're going, not much of an adventure. Give you an idea of just how quick this all evolved. It was August of last year, and we had not really even retrofitted one of our planes with a 4-stroke. Now it's probably 8 months later, and we're basically, I hope, at least one of the front runners in 4-stroke technology. Being a Sato engine dealer means we're going to hear all the bad side and all the good side at the same time. We're going to be able to develop a database for these engines that will be usable to everybody and be able to share it with everybody. And even if you don't have any interest in this type of construction, or if you prefer 2-cycle engines, or if you like tuned pipes, or if you like Fox 35s, or even the people that like ignition engines, hey, my saying is always there's room for everybody in the hobby, and there really is. Don't feel like you have to do exactly what somebody else does. Don't limit yourself. Find something that you truly enjoy and pursue it. Doing any semi-scale model is always, in my estimation, a labor of love. You have to really want to do it. You certainly don't get any more credit than a person who just builds a Cardinal or an SV11 or whatever. But if you truly love it, if that's what you consider real modeling, the real adventure that you're looking for, or to have something truly unique, truly different, truly unusual, well, you know, in that case, you just can't buy a Chevy. You've got to go with something else. And if you dream at night of what that model will fly like, what it'll look like, how much fun it'll be just to have it in your shop or hang it in a Spitfire bedroom, well, that's half the fun too. I think it's more than half the fun. It's probably a giant part of the fun. But it's certainly part that I enjoy, and it's certainly part that I enjoy sharing with my friends and the people that enjoy modeling the way I do. Trying to develop new things, trying to push the envelope. And even if you don't, it might be fun just watching. So we hope you'll stay tuned as we continue our long striving toward what I hope is going to be my crowning achievement in the world of modeling, the B-25.
It seems like every day when I come to Teterboro, I go past here every day, there's always something exciting, something new. I know there's an air show here today. As you can see, it's raining, so probably there'll be not much of a crowd. They got it all quadrant off. In fact, there it is. Teterboro Airport is rapidly, I used to keep the airplane that I owned here, but right now it's virtually all corporate jets, as you can see. No more private aviation. Well, the rain finally stopped, just in time. Well, it looks like we've lucked out. The rain has totally stopped in the last 10 minutes. I didn't want to take the camera out while it was raining like it was. There are cars and planes, and this is, I actually owned one of these when I was young. And that's how I learned to do pinstripe. Boy, this looks like a nicely restored one. Oh, the old Caddy hubcaps. Oh my God, the grill, the tooth grill. Anyway, we're just hoping it doesn't rain anymore. Didn't know Al Raby was coming today, or maybe that's Gerald Sham. Gotta find some B-25 stuff here.
Oh my God, big one!
So, any B-25s for sale here?
Sure. Probably. Where's the B-25s, Bill?
Shirt. Where'd you buy that shirt?
Well, that shirt's about 10 years old. Maryland.
Maryland, off of a lady who's made them in Texas.
Wow, I gotta find out where you got
She
that.
hand painted them.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that is a beautiful shirt. And he spilled coffee on this one. I really got
Just
upset.
let me get a picture of your shirt. You don't mind? I may have to have one of them.
Is this for television?
Hey, we got a B-25 pin. Now we need a T-shirt or a hat or something. We need something. Oh, yeah, this is how Karen is at doll shows. She just has to buy something. It's like a disease. That's how I am all the time. Give you a little idea how many vendors come to these things. And there's a couple bike lanes down there. We'll go look at them, but please, we need B-25 stuff. We're sick. We need everything. Oh, hats. I know Bandrock went for a ride in a Stearman. I know that is a thrill of a lifetime. Complete restoration of this aircraft. Had one out at Brodax a couple of years ago. He was doing flybys and things. I hope we'll see that again this year. Looks like they've got a, look at the exhaust on this. Nice carbon fiber exhaust. A Spag 7 from Rhinebeck. We haven't been up to Rhinebeck in a while, but oh, here's the thing right here. Here's when they have the fly-ins. An exciting thing if you're up in the New York area, the old Rhinebeck Aerodrome.
Good, it's not only a couple of miles.
Actually, I used to go on a big park. We went that way? Oh, Billy Willard is here. Paul Walker's here.
It rained partly a little bit. Sure did.
Something I plan on doing when I get my vinyl train, ever get it done, get a collection of scale cars. Looking for books. This is the place to get them. Ooh, a million books. Gotta find some B-25 stuff here. Videos. Need some B-25 videos here.
Like the face puppet.
Somebody customized one of these? Holy mackerel. Or is this a replica? This isn't one of the original 49, is it?
No, they're pretty close up.
Yeah.
It's just like these.
It's a replica of it?
Well, the body is.
Replica, yeah. Well,
The headlight doesn't turn.
It's like having a fake B-25. That's nice.
It's a fake too.
Yeah. Nice. I'll take it. Really?
Yeah, but it's nice to have a backup.
Well, I need to start flying again. Somebody send me some money. Send me your paycheck. Yeah.
Not a lot of money. I'm going to go fly right now.
And he took you for a ride?
I said, can I go along? He said, yeah. We went for about an hour and a half.
Really? 100 gallons of gas?
Oh, yeah.
Get used to it, boy.
One of them IMARC conversions.
Yeah, get used to it. Yeah. Rich just said Ted Fancher used to be a pilot on these. That'd be cool. I wish we had some inside dope information here. Didn't they make a restaurant? No, it was a Constellation. They made a restaurant out of it.
But Greenwood Lake.
Yeah, by Greenwood Lake. Pretty cool. Nice exhaust pipes. Carbon fiber pipes. The size of those exhaust pipes. My foot would fit right in there. Some oil dumps. For some reason, I don't know why, I always love looking at the landing gear and seeing what... I'm amazed at how they can engineer up these landing gear legs. The helicopter's coming back. I'm not a helicopter guy. Look at all these pulleys and wires and... Holy mackerel. Radial engines. And there, of course, is the B-17. Paul Walker flies in his own private B-17. I love it. And trust me, this B-17 has throttle control. Trust me. And we'll waddle over there later. You gotta look at these guys. Look at the intakes on this. Alright, so Ted, if you know anything about this plane, give us a heads up. Round engines. What we need to do yet is make up some propellers with some little labels on it, yellow tips. Like they may be going flying here. Only $25 for a helicopter ride. As they blow the B-17 away. Anyway, this is one of the B-17s we have not seen before. It seems like every year they bring a different one down, which is kind of neat. The landing gear on this B-17. now there's some radial power. Those are not Nelson 15s, by the way. Those are 4 cycles. Satos. Another thing, just think about it. Electric started engines. Do not flip them by hand. Turbochargers. Anyway, it's $400 to go for a ride. I don't have $400 to spend, so And I have a sinking feeling that in my lifetime I won't have that kind of luxury money, but that's okay too. So this is a beautiful restoration. That aluminum is, and it's an overcast day, and you can see how nice and shiny it is. Try to get it from every angle. It's a beauty, and they're going to fly it soon. We're going to hang out and wait and see what time it is that they're actually going to fly it. Possibly even get a takeoff roller out of it or whatever. Nice nose arc. Yankee Lady is the nose arc. It's a pretty impressive sight. And I just have a sinking feeling if we didn't have these guys in World War II, and obviously the pilots that flew them, we'd all be eating bratwurst or fish heads or something. Not sure. Got me a B-25 belt buckle of real thing.
All the activity is over here.
Go up to Rhinebeck?
Yeah.
Rhinebeck's pretty cool.
Fake.
Nah, it doesn't matter if it's fake. It still looks pretty cool. Bungee cord landing gear.
The Chrysler
the Chrysler alternator.
at the front and brakes.
And motorcycle tires. That's a pretty good fake, though. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I think it's excellent.
But I noticed it right away because the prop turns the correct way.
And a concourse prop. If this guy needs a spare prop, I have 8 of them. 7 or something. Ah. Really cool. They do have a whole, they gotta have a 10 or 15 of these up in Rhinebeck.
First time I went up there, talking to the old guy, what's his name, Cole Taylor.
Yeah, yeah.
And he looks over there and he's flying a triplane.
Yeah.
They're flying a triplane. And over here in the grandstands, the guys in suits and ties. And it's 105 degrees. And he lands, the guy lands the triplane, and these guys all come running over the cove. It's just, they're from the Smithsonian.
Really?
What are you doing flying an airplane? He says, well, it's my triplane.
Yeah.
It's a real one.
A real one,
It was the
Not a
only
fake,
one
yeah.
in the world.
Wow.
And he says, you haven't got a,
Yeah.
people expect to see
It's got a roan in it and everything, yeah.
They just went out. These guys ended up, I heard
Oh, I'll
later,
bet.
they ended up, they built him a replica.
So he wouldn't
And
fly
they
a real
gave
one.
him something else. The
Wow.
boot. Here.
Wow. I know they have a ball. I gotta go up there this summer.
Yeah, the girls in
B-25s.
with black silhouette models, and somebody.
Yeah, because they were trying to train everybody to recognize foreign planes.
When my father was in the military.
And the truth, they fire up to 17. All that Power Master fuel and oil going out the back. Pretty impressive. Bombay doors up. Anyway, nothing more important than getting inspired for your next modeling project here. See what they have to do is clear all the general aviation stuff out of the way. Well, I didn't even know you were coming. Must be a cool sight when you land in one of these small general aviation planes. He will be taking a full runway, that's for sure. This jerk in his Cessna's got to get right in front of me. No, FLT, full dress? No, FLT, full dress. Oh, it's a Cadillac. 5-speed, rubber mat. That was. It looks like they're complete for run up here. What, Cessna? I believe this guy's got to go play with his Cessna. Go. That was an easy. Oh, man, look at this. Paul Walker's ready to take a flight, and this guy comes out in front of him. There we go, better. I gotta be right now. I'm gonna go now. We're cooking with this.
Thank you very much for your patience. We were very happy to arrange good weather for you.
Oh, sure.
You're welcome.
That's what my friend
arrange for those rides. Also, one of the flight schools on the base here, a millionaire, has brought over their Cessna 172, one of the newer models of 172s, and they are selling rides over on the north end of our way.
There we go.
I know the helicopter that you see going in and out, selling rides on the way.
Oh, man. The helicopter gets right in the way. Hard to believe we've been juiced by a helicopter. What I did is using my stopwatch to time how long these people get for $400. Be interested in seeing that myself. Anyway, we're waiting. We await the arrival. Now, if that helicopter takes off again, after all this waiting, we get helicoptered. There he comes. And every eye in the place is on. He's coming in. Paul Walker, you're okay. I don't care what Warren Walker says about you. It's like when I waited on top of that. When that steam engine went by, waiting to see it out in the avid canyon. Look at this. Is this a sight to behold? Okay, pull the Z-Trons in, Z-Tron it in, Z-Tron it in. Get those SATOs all synchronized. After landing in the grass, he's going to pull it right here. Yeah, he's going to pull it in, I'm sure. When we were doing the one at Essex County, he flew right over the car. I don't think he was 100 feet off the car. We were in the back road coming in. We didn't even know he was going to come in. That's scary. Or if someone gets too long. Costello was there, and a couple of the other. We were right over as we were pulling the car by. The tail wheel hits the roof. Yeah. Very cool, very cool. Great way to spend the weekend.
Pretty soon the EPA is going to tell us we can't use these things.
Yeah. The government will figure something out. That is nice. You're probably the last, we both are the last generation will ever get to see these in real life, like steam engines. Yeah, the brakes are out. They're like a steam engine, man. They're unbelievable. Boy, he's getting close. I love the sound of those brakes. Thrill of a lifetime. But they must hit all ignition switches at once. They screw down together. A little bit of backfiring there. Let's see, these people got 37 minutes and 1 second for their $400. All right, Steve, cough up 400 for me. I need a ride. The days we aren't on here, more and more custom cars are pulling in, but we're going back to the shop. Unfortunately, that four-letter word we hate is called work. W-O-R-K. They're at the club pond, I should say. Well, it used to be a field, now it's the club pond. The amazing, soon-to-be Sato 72. Oh, Sato would go right in there. Look, pick it up, Mike, so I can see it. Give us the show and tell thing. Tiger 46.
Tiger 46, and
Built from the kit, the RMS, is that it? RSM?
RSM kit,
Tongue muffler, okay. Tricycle gear.
and Rust-Oleum paint.
Rust-Oleum, that's my favorite. Brodak Rust-Oleum. Maybe Brodak will buy the Rust-Oleum companies. Now tell me about how Brian launched this on the first flight.
Oh, Brian.
Come on.
Brian caught the rudder when he was letting it go. You could see it's been repaired.
Wow.
Made a left-hand turn off the runway and cruised right over the top of the circle, and I caught it by running back 20 feet on the big flight.
Oh, man.
So that was fun.
So you and Brian are best buddies now. It looks nice. You gonna fly it now?
We're going to fly it.
All right. Looks like we'll get some flights in between the raindrops here.
Yeah, no, this is fine.
Hey, Mike.
It's part of our APC prop test. And our professional prop tester, APC Kajeski, you're gonna... Yeah, boy, you know those guys in California that have that circle like a lake? We got our own private lake here, except you have to walk in it to go fly the plane. You got your boots on?
No boots.
This is why I don't like being a test pilot. I like being the owner-operator, not the pilot-operator. A preliminary APC prop testing done. We want to see Mike Cooper. There's a Tiger 46 in this. This looks like it's real inconvenient on a twin boom plane. Maybe you should sit right in between the booms or something. One of the planes I always liked when I was a kid and never could get one to come out the way I wanted, with all those Charles Mackey carousels and everything. Never got one finished, and it flew worth a nickel anyway. This one looks pretty good though. Lou Rollgast has a real nice one there.
If it's got fuel, it's got a lot of it now.
Ready for the big launch. Brian, they won't let Brian launch planes anymore. Brian's been fired from the launching team. I'm not sure which flight this is, but it's one of the first flights. This is a Tom Hampshire rebuilt Tiger 46, one he put together. Boy, that doesn't like to stay out on the lines. Uh-oh. Oh no, he's okay. He might not have enough tip weight in there. Yeah. Whoop.
Okay, it happened.
Yeah. Might be out of fuel.
No, the gland nut is loose, Mike.
Your nut is loose.
Everybody at this field is a nut. Oh, jeez.
All right.
Lucky your field is wet today. Tom Hampshire had a funny thing happen to the needle valve in his PA. We haven't figured out exactly what it was, but the gland nut was pinching off the needle and you couldn't shut it enough. Looks like he's got it running now. But it's just basically turned into an unflyably windy day, so we're gonna cut this off. Got a couple of test flights on the APCs. They look pretty promising, but it's always better to quit while you're ahead. I went out for a session this morning and I had a really funny thing. I'm going to enjoy sharing this with you. I wanted to basically get a day of flying in, and I wanted to see again how many flights I'd get on this battery before it would go dead. Once it goes dead, your unit is not operational. Now it's okay if at that time you're in mid-range throttle, you just fly out the flight. Well, what happened, the battery went dead just as the plane took off at idle. And the plane, luckily I had started the stopwatch. It ran 37 minutes with the throttle at idle. Six ounces of fuel. I was just out there like a dizzy fool for I can't tell you how long. But anyway, that's one of the things I have to really remember virtually every day, whether I get 8 flights, 10 flights. Somewhere around the 10 flight mark is just put the battery in. Now the other thing I wanted to do today, I have this little the muffler that we've been using on Tradition. I cleaned it up. Bob had put 256 screws in here, and what's happened, one of them has already stripped out, so I'm probably I want to see how long it's going to last, but the next one we make, we'll put all 440 screws, or even better, have it welded. The weld, I think, is the way to go, even at the extra amount of work it is. But this muffler is about 3/4 of an ounce lighter than this assembly here. So one of the things I want to do, I'm only going to have a short time tomorrow morning. So I'd like to get down and get 1 or 2 flights with a lighter muffler and see how that's going to work out. Now again, what I've been using is this kind of sealer around just to minimize the amount of oil that gets on there. But you can see what happens no matter what you do. The back of the muffler gets greasy. The side stays pretty clean. And this stays pretty clean, so this is available in any auto parts store. And we have Mike Cooper coming by this afternoon to retrofit his Cardinal with, we got another shipment of Satos in, ready to put a 72 in his Cardinal. That'll be a nice retrofit. I kind of like the look from the front of the way this looks. Again, I think one of the things we're going to have to do, I've got one already stripped out at 256. What needs to happen is they just need to be a little either more threads or bigger threads. But anyway, we'll be ready for another day of prop testing tomorrow. But today we're going to work on Mike Cooper's Cardinal. Another thing too, I've painted these manifolds about 15 different times. The original finish didn't stick real well. I didn't sand it enough, and I mixed my own colors. That I wasn't happy with. I didn't get the color right. So what I did, I'm going to mix these up myself. Some flat enamel. Let me just put this. I bought a bunch of. This is dull coat, and it makes the finish dull. And some brush cleaner. What I'm going to do is just do kind of a little mix and match to try to get them to look like rusty manifolds. So I bought a little bit of each color. And I'll just put it around with this until Mike gets here. I thought the color leather in Model Master colors. But again, the main thing is it's got to look flat. And this looked flat until it had oil. I mean, from wiping a plane off, wax gets on it and everything. So that wasn't a practical thing. Now, of course, you can always cheat and just do it right before you go to appearance judging, but anyway, I'll experiment with that off camera. I got a little time here before Mike gets here. Now, what I did is I was mixing colors, doing little tests. The only problem with the color that I mixed, it's kind of glossy. So what I did, and I'm going to try this, I'm going to do a little test first. Let this dry overnight and put some of this dull coat so that it kind of looks, well, you can kind of see it from here. Now the test sample dried relatively dull, but we'll see how this dries. And it looked the best when I did the inside about 4 different times with kind of a dark gray. I mixed Brodak primer with black and put a bunch of talc in it, just made like a paste to give it that dull look. Anyway, we'll let this dry. I'll try that dull coat, see how that works out. Step 1 with any retrofit, we took out the old tank box, just like we did with Tradition, gutted the whole front of the plane out. Now this will be an interesting test because this is a stock nose. So we're really going to have to, we're going to see how it balances and what Mike's never weighed it, so we don't know what the overall weight is. But step 1, we want to make a shim to get the tank off the tank box, 5/8 of an inch. One was we made up a 1/2 inch. We made an 1/8 for the pads and a 1/2. So we need a 5/8 shim. An 1/8 of it is going to be taken up by the pads and a 1/2 inch piece. We've got a real tight fitting tank box. It's all sealed with thin CA. So we're going to insert the tank now and make a little former for up here just to tie this together. Found with 4 cycles that we get a clearer shut-off if the tank, the out back of the tank is angled out. So I put a 1/4 inch piece in the front, an 1/8 inch piece in the back so that the tank is canted out just a little bit. It just makes the tank shut off a little bit nicer and cleaner. Next thing is to cut a hole I'll mark that with a little ink marker, cut a hole for the carburetor adjuster. Looks like you've already got enough material missing here, but we're going to butcher that all up. And a hole for the needle valve. Cutting the 2 holes, roughing them in, that'll be the next step. Now we're running short on time, so he's going to make...
We're not running short on time.
He's going to make the linkage here. We're going to come up with some kind of linkage on this. That's left to do. He's got a 14.4 Zinger. That's a good prop choice. And do the cosmetic. And you got the fiberglass cowl for this. You can, if it doesn't work, no hard feelings.
I'll make it work. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to put something here like.
Yeah, but we'll see once you bring it up the field. I'm ready. I'm ready for a test flight. I'm sure Kajeski's gonna want to fly it. He flew this already, right?
Yeah, let me slow Mike.
Yeah. You can see it's bright and early. I got out here with Zambelli's muffler on the plane. The first flight, the back end where we had rethreaded it, the metal is just too thin. So what I did, I had to take the stock muffler, the one that comes with the engine. I haven't really tested that, and that adds a little bit of nose weight. So I thought today's thing would be, I have a couple little maintenance things to do. I try to work out how much solder I need on the tail wheel to balance this muffler, which is about almost a ½ ounce heavier. But what's nice is the weight is below the center of gravity, so that has a little bit of help. Instead of being up top. And I really wish the ultimate thing here would be if I could get a lighter spinner, but any of the other spinners I've tried have not worked out well. So what I'm going to do today is try the stock muffler, see how that affects, boy, it's cold out here, affects the needle valve setting. I'll send the other muffler back to Bob, and I'll just give it to him this weekend, and see possibly if he could get it welded up. But this is when you develop things, they break. There's just no way you can do this, that I know of, that everything works like it's Disneyland, you know? Now, one of the things I did, I replaced the linkage that goes from the servo to the motor with one that has a Z-bend in one end. I didn't want a ball link on each end. The linkage was just too sloppy. And this linkage has proven it solved the problem, but I need to fine-tune it because I can't get it to run slow enough to shut the engine off. When it goes to idle, it'll just idle and you can't shut the engine off. So by shortening the linkage even 1 or 2 turns, I'll find a spot where it'll just shut the engine right off again. And I'll basically be right back to square one. I'm quickly realizing here that, see, guys that fly scale or use throttles in RC all the time know how critical these linkage adjustments can be. Now see, what I was spoiled because what happened is the first one I made was right on the money. And every time I've adjusted it since then, I've kind of made it, well, not worse, but I haven't been able to make an improvement. And part of the reason was in the very beginning, having those ball links was a problem. I had a ball link on both ends and it just was just too sloppy. So what I've decided to do, and I'm laughing because I'm thinking Walt Brownell or somebody, I'm trying to think of Jack Sheeks. The guys that fly scale or fly RC know you got to get this right. Probably without flying a plane. You got to do it while the plane is sitting on the ground. Well, he's learning fast, isn't he? And the problem is if you can't shut the engine off, the plane really does run, it runs a long time. We were in 19 minutes the other day when I forgot to turn a receiver on once. I've done that. I've tried to make every mistake you possibly could make. You know, what I did, the super engineering job that I've done on this, is I can get the ball link off without even taking a cowling or a muffler or anything off. I bet you're impressed. So now what I need to do is I'll shorten this 1 turn at a time. Of course there's a Z-bend on the other end. Let's go 1 turn at a time. Let's see what that does. And obviously at some point in time I'll find a spot at which, of course I may be 92 years old by then. Anyway, this weekend coming up is supposed to be the best weekend of the year. They're predicting beautiful weather, which probably means it's going to rain all weekend. Let me show this up close so you can see how this worked out. See, I have the turning adjustment on the ball link, and so I just need to get, well, I did 1 turn, and without even taking a cowling off, I should be able to do this. I'm going to go 1 turn at a time and be safe here. Hey, brought to my attention by email the other day, he had seen the ad club, and he's going to send me a copy of Dave Gerke's article where he had a throttle control years ago. I don't know how he worked it with 3 lines, or maybe he had electronics back then, since he's an RC kind of guy. He probably knew all this, and I'm sure he knew how to adjust the throttle. See, there's always something to learn, and the truth is that's what makes this hobby so great to me, is just when you think you've learned a lot and you try something a little bit different and all of a sudden, wow, the whole thing changed. Well, another nice benefit with this muffler, it seems like almost no oil gets on the plane after a flight. Anyway, that's ready to go again. Now this is really true. The other day, I guess it's not really funny. I was here fooling with the linkage, and I'm not really totally conscious of how critical that is. And what happened? I'm thinking the linkage, one turn out, one turn in, do this, do that, whatever. And the air here is beautiful for one of the few times, and I'm thinking, gee, I should record some flights. I won't bother recording them. Fooling around, and I had done some other changes to the plane, added some tip weight, which is usually a good idea at this field. And I'm thinking, wow, one more flight and I'll go get the camera. And what happened was, I started the plane without thinking, set it at idle, which I normally do just before I go out to the handle, and I never turned the Z-Tron on. So I got out to the handle and I said, oh, let me roll a nice takeoff here. I roll a takeoff. As soon as the plane was released, I realized I hadn't turned it on because I had no response from the transmitting part. And I said, oh boy, this is great. I'm going to fly a whole flight at idle. I'll practice flying 12-second laps. The only problem is when the motor is that, how shall I say it, the throttle closed that much, the fuel consumption, like your car, when the throttle is shut, you get 1,000 miles to the gallon. Well, and I had the watch running, and it ran almost a half an hour. And all during that time I was saying, geez, good thing I didn't have that on video. It would have been 20 minutes of boredom. Anyway, there's a lot to learn. But it looks like we'll have most of this ready. Turn it on, there you go. Looks like we'll have most of this ready to at least do some demonstrating out at Brodax. Coming up, and we got a fun fly coming this weekend. I should have Joe Adamusco up here with his 72. warming up quite a bit. Actually, this time of year, you get these, a day like today where it's cold in the morning. And what happens is if you have a needle valve, especially, if you're trying to get the fine razor edge, what happens is you're needling the plane every other flight. Well, one thing nice about having a Z-Tron is we don't do that anymore. And whether that's ever going to pan out to be something really worthwhile, right now I feel it's worthwhile. I feel like all this time that I've spent, and believe me, I've spent a lot, just getting this linkage right. I almost danced on the flight circle here when I got it right. That it just shuts it off and at the other end of the travel. And that is a more difficult part of this than I thought. What I'm running into is the things that I'm not familiar with. I've made it more difficult than it has to be. Somebody transitioning from an event where they use the throttle would know this stuff instinctively. And I just figured, well, I'll look up the linkage. Well, I got it right the first time, but I was lucky. And my luck is not lucky every time, that's for sure. Anyway, we're trying to come up with a routine that will don't forget to turn the unit on. Amazing how many things there are around. And the air is absolutely crappy. It's amazing. You'll see some of the funny maneuvers later. I'll edit some of them out there. I've had some flyaways and some fly through my own wake type of things. I would say that was a pretty productive session. Now, hopefully we got the linkage squared away. And one of the things, the reason I left some of the flight footage where I'm doing multiple maneuvers, the same maneuver over and over again, because what that does, it lets me see if the prop load on the engine is excessive. Now, if the prop load is high, what will happen is by third or fourth maneuver, it'll start sagging. And what that's telling you is, well, you might want a little bit less diameter, a little bit less pitch, or some combination of things. But there's just an easy way to check. Do vertical weights, and about the 10th one, if it starts hurting, you know you're either way too lean, being too lean will overheat the motor, or you don't have the right cooling, or the prop load is too high. Picture it that it's like being in a car, well, a little car, in fourth gear or fifth gear going up a hill. Well, in the beginning it's fine, and when you get to the top, well, that's what happens after those successive maneuvers. So what I'm going to pretty much do here is, and the interesting thing I did, I was putting solder on a tail wheel all day, adding little pieces. I finally wound up adding about 1/4 ounce of solder, and I liked the way it handled it. In some of the places it seemed to handle a little bit better. So what I did, I came home, and I have a whole selection of these, they're made out of brass or something. I just put one that weighed the amount of the solder different than the original one. So in the next session, we're having a nice fun flight this weekend, and I hope everything's going to work out. But it's always fun reviewing this footage and looking at some of the flights. It's kind of, I don't know. It really is funny when you think about it. Some of the flights, and I didn't want to just belabor it, but I had a couple where you do a loop, go loop, and the third loop, it just fly right in at you. So, anyway. So far, so good, Mr. Z-Tron. We're learning what we can and can't do with it. Kind of like the way the exhausts look. That seemed to work out nice. And by the way, since I don't have the custom muffler, this one being a little bit heavier is the reason we had the solder on the tail wheel to begin with. And this muffler, it doesn't seem like it's a whole lot different than the way the 81 or the 72, which are the same. But it's in my estimation, it's always good to check it over a wide range of conditions, and which we've had cold in the morning. I'm wearing a flannel shirt, running the heater on the way to the field, and in the afternoon it's 70, 75 degrees, and you wish you had shorts on. Trouble is, at that field, you wear shorts and the mosquitoes just eat you alive. But anyway, we're learning, and the Z-Tron looks like we're getting friendlier and friendlier with it, learning what we can and cannot do with it. what I want to do, because I have a lot of shop work, but what I wanted to do is get a couple of early flights and just get a feel for this rearward CG. Now, you know, we put the heavy tail wheel on, and it may require shrinking down the handle, maybe, maybe not, I don't know yet. I'll take a few flights in the dead air with the maneuvers moving them. I'm trying not to go one maneuver on top of another, simply because at this field, at this time when the air is like this, early in the morning, it is downright dangerous. Again, the other thing I'm trying to accomplish here, Jimmy said he may have it done today, in fact. He may have the tooling for the carbon fiber tanks ready to run a test, and of course we're looking forward to that. Putting a carbon fiber tank in this plane would knock minimum of another ounce and a half out of the nose, and then maybe we wouldn't need the brass tail wheel, see? So we'd have to try it both ways, of course. Anyway, it's supposed to be in the 90s today. Now, one of the things, as things get hotter, see, here's one of the things. With a traditional plane, it gets hot, the engines run hot, they tend to run overtime. And it's very convenient being able to shut the engine off at the end of the flight. It just widens up the band of things you can do. See, it's got to be on back compression.
can't put shorts on at this field with the mosquitoes with the West Nile virus. We're all paranoid about having West Nile virus. And from what I understand, this is a prime breeding ground right on the other side of where the car is parked. They spray it every other day or so. Anyway, what's nice about, and worth mentioning, is I've tried to come up with a setting or whatever we want to call it, that would work early in the morning. I'll call it flannel shirt weather, and then right now it would be nudist camp weather, to tell you the truth. But what's nice about the Sato is you can go over such a broad range without touching a needle valve. I talked to Carlos Serra yesterday. He's got a 56 in his Miss Los Angeles, and he's experiencing the same thing, that it's very not sensitive to getting a needle right or anything like that. It's got a nice wide range. Anyway, we're having fun doing takeoffs, landings, all that kind of stuff today. I think I've got that part hopefully figured out. We'll find out.
Well, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. It is really early, and I always like to come out by the pond with a cup of coffee, think about what I want to try to accomplish today. Rich Jacobone told me, and he's got his new Strega ready to fly, so Loretta Musco and I are going to meet him up at the Circle Burner Field nice and early, try to get it, whatever we can do to get it trimmed out, ready to go. We don't know yet. Old Rich always finds some way of pulling us out at the bottom of the 9th inning. Here we are the Sunday before Brodax, and he's ready to test fly his plane, so I don't know. Anyway, it really is nice out here having a cup of coffee, trying to get warmed up for it's still cool in the morning, but it looks like we're going to have a nice day. And it was fun watching the fish have their morning meal. And we expect Don Dixon here tomorrow. Don is coming all the way from Arkansas, and we are just going to have the best of times. This should be a great weekend. Now we know Rich Jacobone. We've watched this plane come to fruition, and I know he had a problem with the decals. And guess which wing has the problem? Not the bottom, not the inboard wing, the top of the outboard wing. And I have to tell you, it's a very disappointing thing. It's the decals that the paint is not adhering to. These are vinyl decals. I don't know. I don't really have a cure for that other than not using decals. Anyway, Rich is fueled up and he's ready for what will be the first flight of, this is the 3rd Strega he's made. This is the one he had to replace the tail on. He had a 7-ounce tail or something. It's got a, this is built like the Miss Ashley tail with a flat trailing edge. I think the wing was made by Bob Hunt. It's a Geo wing. Let's see if you can see the ribs. And he is ready for the first flight. First flight, it looks like I didn't even record it because I launched the plane. That it's lean. The wing looks, well, boy, that's smoking. That's smoking up a storm. Gee. Yeah, the air is dead. All right, you got it in the air, baby. After a whole summer of frustration, decals bubbling, having to rebuild the tail, he showed the toughness. Joe Adamusco's waiting to get some flights on his Sato 72. We're going to break in Jose Modesto's 56. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to pick it up today or if we're going to have to bring it to Brodax. almost 15 minutes. Why'd you run it so fast? All right, he got a flight. We're giving him a hard time. What we're finding out with the Satos is this braking routine that we use under 4,000 for about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and then little by little bring it up onto the pallet. It's been working really well. And what we attributed Richard's lean runs to, he's been getting, the tank had a lot of junk in the filter. And he's on about the 10th filter cleaning here. See, Rich, he refuses to buy a new filter, so he keeps cleaning the old one in coffee or whatever he's been using. His new name is Hangover McBride. He says he's going to be here 9 o'clock. What time? It's 0, wait. Wait, you're off the hook for Thursday. This is his version of 9 o'clock in the morning. So his new name is Hangover McBride. Oh man, I tell you.
Let me see how bad you shake it.
Did you sober up yet? How many beers did you have last night?
2, 3.
Your father says you're a drunk. Anyway, this is his little Cardinal Evolution, Cardinal Kahuna, and Candy Apple. All the Cardinals here in a row. It's like a bird convention. Name for you. This is Mr. Rich. I'm never going to use decals again, Jackabone. Rich Bubbles Jackabone. Bubbles.
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 Where's the bubble, Rich? I don't see it.
I'll bet what you did when you pressed them down, you touched them with your fingerprints.
I did. I used one of those.
That one slides
The rubber squeegees, yeah.
I scraped it all down.
You see what it is?
Until I started putting clear on it. And then when I had about 4 coats of clear, that's when it started bubbling.
Yeah, but there was something contaminated on there. Because the bottom, turn it over, the bottom's perfect.
No kidding.
Why don't you just cut the canopy off and glue it to the bottom of the plate?
This is an idea.
Check the rigidity
Wow.
even with the foam cut out like that.
That's a shame. Well, I bet you're glad. Now, let me ask you another question. Truth, the truth. Plane's tail heavy, right? No. What are you talking about? You got the handle that's set at 2 inches. But if you had a 5-ounce tail now,
31, yeah.
how much nose weight do you think you would have to add?
10 ounces, 3/4.
Oh, more than that. You'd turn it into a twin-engine plane.
Low at Max 35, I'll tilt that.
All right, see you tomorrow morning, Rich.
All right, take care. Joe, take care. Okay, I'm leaving.
Do you mean it this time? Leaving on a jet. This is APC prop test number 6,832, in which Joe is replacing a 14.5 cut to 13.5 with a 14.5, not cut. So if anything, this is going to have more prop load. We'll find out as soon as you fire it up.
So what's up? Are you still
Mr. APC here. Anyway, we have been off camera testing, and I tested quite a few of them on the 91 already. These APC props. The lower pitch ones all seem to work relatively well on a 72. This is a wide blade 14.4. The narrow blade 14.4 is the one we have on through. That seems to work well too. Oh yeah, it's got good drive. The one that's on tradition is driving good too. You were flying that the last time we were, not yesterday, but the thin blade one, that was working well too. And you can just go to the store and buy them. It's so nice. It's not that $50 a pop stuff. Yeah, that's a good interchange for the 14.5 rev up that he had there, cut down. You see how we purposely didn't touch the needle valve or anything else. Just wanted to see, yeah, that's driving nice. I don't think he's going to be giving me this prop back. I think I just lost. This cost me a prop. Yeah, this one looks like it's married up to this combination pretty well on the first run. Mike, I don't think I'm getting this prop back. Yep, say goodbye to that. Goodbye, nice APC prop. Hate to see you go. See you in Joe's toolbox later. Yeah, that's real nice. Nice, it's not whipping up at all either. Good combination. Luckily, I know a guy that's got a whole box of these, Mike. He lives in Rutherford.
Yeah, I got the key.
Yeah, I know you do. They may not be there tomorrow morning. Anyway, this is probably the best surprise we've had of all this. Oh yeah, Joey baby.
Now, is this right? We took a piece of my motor and put it on Joe's motor?
Yeah, we took the valve keeper from your motor, Mike, which is now your motor for your new plane, and it's on Joe's plane.
Okay.
We lost the valve keeper.
Well,
It's a major job changing. It took about 3 minutes. All right, this is nice. I'm glad we're having some success with these APC props. Joe Adamusco, the Prince of Pennsylvania. Now, hey, we've been giving Stevie McBride a hard time because he's got a girlfriend, and him and the girlfriend apparently share their love of liquor or something like that. And Stevie comes over yesterday and says, I'll be at the field early, help me trim my plane. So we get up here real early, and Stevie's got a hangover. He shows up at, whatever, 12 o'clock. Shaking like a dog with a flea on his tail. Anyway.
shot unless someone else got to go.
Hey, Ruben, you know, Stevie was over the house yesterday, and he said, get up here early, Wendy, so you can help me with my plane. So we got up here at 8. Now, confirm or deny, was he out last night with someone of the female persuasion?
No female last night.
No female? Not a guy. Hey, wait a minute. A guy! We got him now! We got him now!
Came home about 2:30.
2:30?
Set his clock for 7.
And went back to bed, right?
I woke him up and I said, then Wendy's waiting on you. Go to
Wendy brings his props, his toolbox.
Yep.
To service my clientele, my cardinal clientele. But does my clientele wake up in the morning? What are you going to show up at Brodex the week after the contest and go, gee, I had a little bit extra beer last night?
Well, if he had his own room, he probably wouldn't get out of it.
Oh boy. This is on film. This is on film. I'm bringing it to Brodex. We're going to show it. We're going to have an AA meeting and you're going to host it.
AA meeting. He's more like
AA. It'd be SM for Steve McBride.
Sleepy.
We could name him Sleepy McBride. If you're a Cardinal owner, you got to get up here early. We work early and we go home late.
You could start a 60 next to his ear and he wouldn't hear it.
You got to use that Titanic thing. You yell out when he's sound asleep. Yell out, "The ship is sinking!" and throw a gallon of ice water.
If Larry started his plane up next to him.
This is a sneak preview of things to come. Jimmy Snyder has brought down the what is now the carbon fiber tank tooling. This is Wayne Triven's invention. And I left one piece out of the puzzle. We can't run a test today.
Right.
This has to be waxed for a whole day and then PVA'd.
That's fine.
I didn't even think, I'll polish it. I can do the polishing today.
Okay, yeah, I was going to do that anyway. Here's your,
Look at this. This is a solid piece of aluminum that Jimmy's machined. Now this is on Wayne Triven's a Tampa member, on his website. This is a copy Jimmy made with his approval, and I guess we got to buy him pizza or something. Pay him something. Now it's got a draft angle in it too. Can you explain?
Right. You've got only on the female, because this you can pull apart.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Right, and it's on dowel pins, of course.
Correct.
Okay.
This is 5,000 smaller on this end, this way and this way.
Okay.
So as soon as you tap it, it should just fall out.
In essence, yeah. Now Wayne says to pull the females off first and build a layer of extra carbon on there and then just tap it off the carbon. I saw that part on his...
Yeah, I saw that. And this goes here, and this...
Okay. And then you basically clamp it together.
Right, I even brought you a vise. I didn't know if you wanted.
Yeah, I could use it. I could use a spare one anyway.
Put that in.
All right, and this is going to be the future invention that will hopefully be a contribution to the world of stunt, thanks to Wayne Triven and
This
Jimmy.
is just a temporary end cap. I have the other one almost done.
Okay, and this is made out of molding wax.
This I made you 2 cavities, so you don't
All right.
have to...
Well, you need 2 for every tank. Otherwise, you can only make 1 a day. Yeah, that's right. Okay, now this is the ray. Okay.
All right.
These we can lay up right now, but we can't lay this up till I prep it.
I didn't use this for the shut-off because I didn't think it would work well on the wax. What I did is I brought you...
You got dowel pins for that?
2 pins.
Okay.
Pins in here. Close them on the pins, and that's your height.
Oh, okay.
Just close
on the pins and don't obviously don't put a clamp on it.
No. Well, you can put it in here.
Yeah.
Close on the pins. When the pins are tight, you're done.
Yeah. Basically.
That's it.
We're not looking for 1,000th of an inch here. I mean, this is not...
This will give you 20.
Okay.
This, you have 15 per wall.
15 a wall,
On the
5
large
draft. Okay.
And so you'll have 12 and a half on the small end.
Okay.
This will give you 20, and we can make it whatever you want when you decide.
Okay.
You'll stick it up if you want it thinner.
Well, what I'm going to try to do, because this one I can lay up. Well, I can't lay it. I have company coming, but what I'll do is once I get a prototype part, I may even be able to bring some of these parts to Brodex.
Well, that's why I brought you this now, and then I'll finish it up. What I want to do now is I want to put you 2 bolts in here, so you don't need this clamp crap.
Yeah, and then you can lose the clamp.
Right. And then I'll give you 2 jack screws.
Okay.
So that you loosen up, take the bolts out, put the jack screws, and it'll open it up itself.
Now another thing, what would have to happen here is I need to do the wax 1 hour apart, 4 coats.
Right. I've got to finish polishing this first, so we can do that real quick.
PVA it. I mean, that's an easy. The polishing is not a big deal. That's look at that.
I'll look at that.
Ah, we didn't see that. That'll be inside. We'll cut that end of the tank.
You know, I put that there so you know this is the small end.
Now there'll be some guys that want to. What is this? A 9-inch? We could make a 9-ounce tank out of this.
It's a 9-inch tank.
Oh my God! Some guy with a giant 2-cycle is going to want to. Oh my God! But we can make it though. But that's nice to have it. But maybe for the B-25 we can put one tank in the nose. I gotta see how Paul Walker did his tanks. You know, he's got some kind of automatic shut-off and everything on there. I gotta talk to him.
By changing the plug, you can make it wider.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. That's amazing. Amazing.
We check out this engine.
Check the engine out. Now this is the down payment on the tooling. This tooling is $2,000, but he's gonna have to go to become a Sato dealer.
Oh, that's cute.
Put a 10.6 on it. Ken Clapson has been using 10.6s on his. That's what's going in the B-25 right there. Is that ever a nice little, nicely made? And what's nice about the 30, see how the exhaust leans back?
Mm-hmm.
The big ones, it comes straight out, so you can't get that in there.
When you get enough.
Oh, you get tools, adjust the valves. You run about 4 hours in, and I've never found one of the valves are really out of adjustment badly, but supposedly you could get one that went out. It's self-explanatory how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, one of the things you could do if you wanted to, you could make a little Venturi for this. You know what I'm saying?
I use them for RC, so.
Oh, use it for RC. Or leave the carburetor on. You don't care. See the little muffler that comes with it? Look at the little muffler. Yeah, it's a 9-ounce engine. It's a little over 9 ounces. And it is, I'm telling you, the sound is really, really authentic. It does not sound anything like a 2-cycle. It's real nice.
You have to get another one, make it a twin.
You need another one. I got a whole desk of them over there.
Oh yeah, you got a bunch.
Yeah, well, you got to buy $1,000 worth at a time. That's the problem.
Aha.
Sneak preview over. Now, today we got up here really early. Give Rich a hand trimming out his plane. Nice dead air. Our special house guest will be arriving tentatively this afternoon, so we want to get back to the house and we're going to have some lunch, hopefully. Mr. Don Dixon of Arkansas, who's rejuvenated the hobby itself in the state of Arkansas. Well, it's turned out to be a really nice day, but unfortunately, we have to go get ready for our house guest, and I mean our special guest, Don Dixon. We should have a great couple days before we have to leave for Brodax. May we all have their 3-line throttle things working here. Hey, look at this, the bicycle guys are going by. Love that throttle control, boy. We love having that Z-Tron working. And we hope we can demonstrate it to some effect at Brodax. A lot of the scale guys are already using it from what I understand. We'll find out.
Is that Don Dixon? I want to shoot him, Bregan. But first I want to shoot Paul Winter.
So the question of the day is, if you had Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, and Paul Winter, and you only had a gun with 2 bullets, who would you shoot? That's right. Shoot Paul Winter twice.
That's the correct answer. You want a lifeline? No. Shoot Paul Winter twice. Duct tape him once, shoot him twice.
This guy, Doug.
Rich is making some good progress with his plane here. He's getting a majority of the airtime here. Got the new Strager ironed out. Got the motor in the ballpark. It's been a pleasant couple of days, and I hope you've enjoyed sharing it with us. This is Al Knight. He just got this motor at a garage sale or something. I'm not sure what. Al, what is this, a 40 or 45?
45, Wendy.
It's an old 45, the old style?
It's an old 45 that I resurrected from a wreck. Had a broken,
Oh, you got parts for it?
yeah, the crankcase was busted in half.
Oh.
John Misk ordered me one, cost $18.
$18? Wow. I know they still list these parts on the Sato parts list, but I don't think they make a 40 or a 45
I had
anymore.
Zambelli's 40 for a little while. He loaned it to me. They're almost identical.
Yeah, but that's the old. I don't know what see, they originally were going to use this case for other things.
Yeah.
That's obviously where they were going to try some of the... But it runs well, huh?
Like the jug on these, it looks like an old radio.
Well, the new ones even look that way too. They look like heaven forbid, aircraft engines. Or in Krug's case, Harleys. I like the two of them together. I like that triple cylinder one that they make.
Yeah, that's
I
nice.
would
They
love.
make a small one too, don't they? Is it like a 90 or something?
And that's the one I like, because you can use that.
What are you gonna put that in?
Oh, Joe Adamusco has a design for it's a Japanese plane, World War II radial engine, a real short nose.
Like a nice Sukhoi or something.
Sukhoi would be another one, yeah. Do you know if they still have that Sukhoi? I know people have never seen this. This is Augie's Cub, and what he does, he doesn't use the takeoff pad. He walks it out with his throttle control. I got to fly this plane last year. It's a ball flying. And see what he does. He's not even in the circle yet. He's walking it out like you walk a dog out. I guess you could do this with the Typhoon, I'm not sure. I'm sure this would be my first choice. But after watching that video with Fred Cronwet and the guys with the seaplanes, I thought that was cool. You may have to do that with our B-25 once in a while, just idle it out like that. Anyway, this is the end of our day. We're heading on back to the ranch. Doesn't get a lot more realistic looking than that. This has electronic control too. It sends a signal down the wires. I think he's using pretty much exactly the Fred Cronwet, Jim Young system. You know, he really gets the invention credit for that thing. But it definitely, and it is fun to do. And he's got the handle, it's all contained in the handle. Anyway, back to the ranch.